Welcome to Friday Friends, RI Elder Info's weekly look at the organizations and individuals providing resources for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Friday Friends. I'm Deb Burton, the host of Friday Friends. And if you don't know me by now, I am the founder and creator of RI Elder Info and rielderinfo.com. It's the most comprehensive resource for seniors, caregivers, and professionals here in Rhode Island. And we have Friday Friends so that we are able to share more information of other nonprofits that are doing some really amazing things out in the community that people need to know about. I'm super excited about today's guest. I can tell you now, you want to hit share, you want to hit like, you want to get this information out to as many people as possible. But the work that we're doing here with Friday Friends isn't possible without the support of our sponsors. So we're very grateful to Oak Street Health. We're very grateful to Tamarisk Assisted Living, both a couple of great places that you should really check out. We are really grateful. We have a fabulous event coming up next Thursday, March 18th, from 9 to 12, right here on Facebook, called Calling All Women Warriors. And it is going to be an amazing event that will provide information and resources for our women veterans. And what's going to be super cool, I have some really amazing guests, but I have been able to have a woman who is a centenarian, a woman veteran, World War II Navy vet who will be joining us. I am so excited. This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And for Calling All Women Warriors, super grateful to Raytheon and Cross Country Mortgage, D&B Media, and England Studios. It's going to be amazing. So we depend on our sponsors. We depend on our donors. If you find the information that we share every week helpful, feel free to go to RI Elder Info, hit the donate button. You can even donate $1. Every bit counts when you're a nonprofit. So for today, I am super excited to bring on my next guests doing amazing stuff. And it is so critical at this time that we get this information out. So please, if you didn't hit share and you didn't hit like, make sure you hit share and like right now. I would like to bring up Annie Murphy and Kate Spinella from the Rhode Island Alzheimer's Association. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us here this morning, Deb. Kate and I are, as we call ourselves, a dynamic duo. We love, presenting and, being on talk, shows like this. So thank you so much for having us.
Yes, yes. I wore my purple in recognition of Alzheimer's.
Yep, we have our specials today. Yep.
And for viewers out there, it has been a year since COVID shut everything down. And the last public event that I was at was with these lovely ladies. So you were my last outside entertainment. We had a rally at the State House for the Alzheimer's Association. It was amazing that day. So please tell us what is happening now.
So, as you said, Kate and I were reflecting this morning the fact that, we had to shut down our offices 1 year ago today, and that our entire organization throughout the country went, remote. And, we're just very excited just to let people know that, we're still here for our families here in the, in Rhode Island, and that we continue to answer our 24/7 helpline. We are providing care and support, consultations, and offering all of our programs and services completely virtual now. We had to pivot very quickly, and really to educate all of our volunteers, our staff to use all of the remote services that we have the ability to. But we continue to offer 11 support groups for caregivers and people living in the early part of the disease.
Yep.
We're offering educational programs on an ongoing basis, all over the state of Rhode Island, and in many of our businesses who are, supporting family members or, who is, caring for someone with a diagnosis.
Wow. So you bring up something interesting. The early onset dementia, or younger people living with dementia, how prevalent is that here in Rhode Island?
So we know that probably we estimate there's about 24,000 individuals living with Alzheimer's disease, but that's only an estimate. And so the Alzheimer's Association suspect that there are more individuals, but of that number, there's probably about 3 or 4% of those individuals who are living with young onset, and that's for individuals who are living under the age of 65.
Okay. And so is the experience different when you're under 65, because then you're still in working age and things like that? What is that like for folks?
Many times, you're thinking about, we're still with 2 incomes. They may be caring for children who are in high school or, in college. So now they have this multiple, economic concern. The loved one who's been diagnosed now may not be working. So now they're having to have, just one income. And now many individuals, have more difficulty applying for, disability insurance. And, the work that the association starts at many times, our loved ones who have young hearts, they actually progress through the diagnosis quicker, more rapidly.
Wow.
Yes. And
that's really sad.
So they are, they're having to, really prepare more quickly. And, sometimes that it's more difficult too for an individual who's in that age range to actually get a proper diagnosis. Many times our primary physicians are looking at it as, it could be depression or stress. And so sometimes, like, as I say, poo-poo, what they're actually experiencing, and many primary care practices are not listening to them. Mm-hmm. So, they really have to push and really advocate for themselves, or their care partner has to advocate for them as well.
I just wanted to tack on to that. I mean, the earlier the diagnosis, the easier it is to plan, right? Because given the cognitive stage of the person who is just getting diagnosed, very many times can help in the planning process, what they want, right, what it looks like. And so we at the Alzheimer's Association say, first of all, consult the 10 warning signs if you consider that there's some kind of an issue, but don't stop at the primary care doctor. Keep pushing for your loved one and get a solid diagnosis, because, as I just said, early detection and early diagnosis will improve the quality of life for anyone suffering from the disease of any type of dementia.
So Kate, you mentioned the 10 warning signs. What are those 10 warning signs?
Well, so I'm going to let Annie answer that, because Annie has them. I think they're tattooed on her arm. But there are some things, and I'll turn it over to Annie in 1 second. But I just had a conversation with a family member who said to me that his in-law did not have dementia because she knew where she was. She knew who the people in the room were, and she knew the time and date. That does not necessarily mean you don't have dementia, right? There are so many other different types of warning signs. It doesn't necessarily affect recognition of individuals or time and space, but there are many other symptoms. So I'll take it away, Annie.
Okay. So, it's not tattooed on my arm, but that would be maybe I've been working in the field way too long. But anyways, so we're talking about, when we begin to have problems with, forgetting words, having more difficulty with words, misplacing objects, having more difficulty with understanding, place and time. Where are we? More difficulty with just recognizing and understanding, things that we do every day, knowing how to turn on the car or use a remote control, having more difficulty with those tasks that we've always performed, having more difficulty, getting from A to B, a person who has more difficulty retracing their steps. So, I go into the kitchen, I get into the kitchen, and I'm like, why am I here? They're not able to figure out, why did I come in the kitchen? They're not able to retrace the steps. We see that a lot of times with individuals who get lost while they're driving. They may get to, the Walmart, but they have no idea how they got here, why they came to the Walmart. And then when they're leaving the Walmart, they don't know where their car is now. Another warning sign is just being inappropriately, dressed. So not being aware of sort of the weather. I may be, the judgment is impaired. So, I may be wearing, shorts in my nightgown outside when it's 20 degrees below zero. Again, getting lost. Changes in personality and behavior. So, many times it gets misdiagnosed. And, they may think the person actually has, depressive symptoms, but it could be a change. And also it's a change in not wanting to go and participate in early activities of, and social activities that they've always been interested in doing. So, and that sometimes that comes from because the individual, recognizes when they go out and play, they play golf, or they go to the bridge clubs that they're having really difficulty, with doing something that they've always loved, so they back away, which is really, really challenging for someone. So, and what we need to recognize is that, all of these signs, we need to pay attention to them. And the importance is that, some of these symptoms can actually be caused by something other medically that's going on. So that's why it's so crucial that we actually talk to our primary care practice, our primary physicians, because it could be something else going on underlying. It could actually be depression. It could be, a vitamin deficiency, or something going on medically. One of our first things we always talk about if someone reaches out to our helpline and saying, my loved one is just behaving very erratically or has gotten very more anxious or angry, we ask, have you seen your physician? Because for so many of our elders, especially, a urinary tract infection can be a very common something that we can medically treat that can, once that condition is taken care of, they may go back to their baseline. They may go back and, their personality and their mood may change. So it's really, really,
too.
Dehydration. Yep, you're absolutely right, Kate.
Not drinking enough water for elders can really affect their cognitive ability.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is, crucial. And I always kind of use the example. I can distinctly remember about a year and a half ago where I was just lots of stress going on in my life. And I was really struggling with some, word finding and just being able to express myself. And I actually found I had a vitamin deficiency. And so it's something that, we all need to pay attention to.
So how do you know when it's a problem? Because I have definitely had the experience of going to the store and forgetting completely why it is that I was there, or going into the kitchen and starting a project and getting, distracted by something. And then it's like, what was I just doing? How do you know when it's sort of normal aging, or not even aging, but just normal at any age, and something that you really should be concerned about? Is there like a tipping point?
Yeah, when it starts to impact your daily life, that's the tipping point, right? Deb, you can go in and start your project and get distracted and you forget what's going on. When it is impacting your daily life, just like the example Annie used, going to Walmart and not being able to get home, and then it takes you hours and your family members are out looking for you, that's impacting daily living, right? If you are doing things that are dangerous, right, because your judgment is impaired, that's going to affect your daily life. Leaving a kettle burning on the stove is going to affect your family life if something happens, a fire, etc.
Yeah.
So
yeah, not paying those bills, bills just keep piling up and you say, oh, I know I paid them, going to the teller, going to the bank and taking out money. And the teller says to you, Mrs. Jones, you were just here yesterday. And she's like, I didn't do that, And so those are, a real alarming, they're impacting everything that's going on in your daily existence.
I would hope that the teller would say that. I would hope.
Well, that's part of what we do too, is to educate businesses, organizations, not just the people who are in the caregiving business, but across all occupations and businesses that we can reach out to recognize if someone comes into their establishment and is impaired, and how to work with them and get them through what they need to get through to do their business. But you doing your project and forgetting where you are, maybe you just pick up the papers and move along, and it's not impacting your daily living. There's no emergency there. Because we all have those moments. I mean, let's be honest. I'm in my mid-50s. I have those moments often, but it's not impacting my daily. I'm like, oh, I forgot to do that, right? And it comes back to us. But if there's a hole there that never comes back, that's concerning.
So have you found that the incidence or prevalence of Alzheimer's or other related dementias has increased during COVID? Have you seen symptoms exacerbated or made worse during COVID?
We definitely have. Interestingly enough, and we could spend many minutes talking about it, but the Alzheimer's Association produces what's called our facts and figures on Alzheimer's disease every year, and our facts and figures actually came out exactly last Wednesday.
Oh,
and
okay. I missed it.
Yeah, and so we actually have information specifically on COVID related. What we've actually seen is that there's been a higher prevalence of death for Alzheimer's patients throughout the country with COVID this year. And that increase actually went up about 16%.
Wow.
Because of COVID related issues, potentially isolation, just the infection of COVID and its impact on people in long-term care, and not being able to maybe get to their medical providers or feeling safe enough to get to their medical providers when experiencing, medical conditions.
So when you're a family member, and I think one of the unique things, maybe not, I don't know, maybe unique's not the right word, but it seems like with COVID, it really has shown a spotlight on a lot of the needs that our older adults have.
Yeah.
And it has maybe kind of encouraged family members to participate a little bit more often with their older loved ones. And so do you find, what should family members do? Because I know a lot of times there's this big fancy word called anosognosia, which means the individual with dementia doesn't realize necessarily that they have dementia and will argue tooth and nail that everything is fine. What can family members do when that's happening and their loved one is adamant that there's nothing fine, everything's fine, they're taking their medication appropriately, of course they took a shower? What can family members do?
That's a loaded question, Miss Deb.
It's hard, I'm gonna turn it over to Annie because she is the professional. But having experienced it firsthand, first with my mom and secondly with my father-in-law who has dementia, we have to be prepared not to have the arguments, because it's really, really hard as a daughter, a daughter-in-law, to say no, you really didn't. You really didn't. No, I promise you. And then it becomes sometimes too impactful for the individual because they get nervous. No, I know I did. So, they're scared, they're anxious. It can cause, other depression that can come about because why don't I understand what's going on there? Of course, there's nothing wrong with me. So, I always advocate for a little white lying and redirection to help family members. That's a whole lot better than a confrontation with somebody who has dementia.
And I think, one of our best friends is the ability to, as a caregiver or a family member, is to reach out to, our loved one's primary care practice, primary physician, send a letter, write to them, explain to them what they're seeing, because then when their family member goes to see the physician, they can do the work that they need to do, to ask those questions, to talk about, it's part of your health insurance to have to do a wellness visit and to do some cognitive screening, which, anybody after the age of 55 can receive. So, we just have to find ways to get that information to the primary care practice to let them do the job that they need to do.
And I just want to also jump in and plug our helpline, because 24 hours, 7 days a week, there's somebody answering that phone that can answer questions. If you're scratching your head in the middle of the night, and certainly how to handle those types of behaviors. Emergent calls are, something that they can deal with and refer you to the right resources locally. Most of those calls, when people are calling our 800 line in Rhode Island, will trickle down to Annie.
Yep.
Annie will know who is called, who needs acute care help immediately, and she's on it. So even though people are like, oh, it's going to go off into Texas or Chicago or whatever, it always comes back to Rhode Island. Annie knows who's been calling and who needs help.
Right. And we've been very fortunate that, with COVID, there was so much isolation and so many, programs shutting down that, we've really had a real personal touch with our families. Our support group facilitators have been, reaching out to our caregivers one-on-one, just to stay in contact with them, and providing that extra, care and contact, just to let people know that we're still here and that we want to, connect with them. But, we, our helpline, like Kate, is staffed by master level clinicians who do this 24/7 a day, who, speak to our caregivers and help them kind of figure out different ways to, handle situations. And it's different for every family member. So, what works for you may not work for the next family. So, we have that experience, we have that expertise in, working with our families and helping them support those living with a diagnosis. So.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, I've called you guys to ask for some advice for some tough cookies that I've dealt with out there. And you guys are always extremely responsive. And I would ask that after we're finished, if you can drop a link to your support groups. So I know that there's a lot of folks out there who, they maybe have been with mom or dad 24/7 since COVID set in, and they could use that extra support and feedback and a sounding board. I think we don't often talk about that. Caregiving is hard.
Yes.
And a lot of times people kind of push it and say, well, that's my mom or that's my dad, and I'm supposed to be able to do this, and put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be perfect, to be the perfect daughter, the perfect son caring for an individual with dementia. And it gets really hard, but they may not want to open up to their traditional, friend and support group, because those people might not understand as well. So I think the support that the Alzheimer's Association provides for caregivers is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
And I go ahead, Kate.
I was just going to say, people can just, they can attend a support group like we're doing here on a Zoom type situation. They can call in and listen, and just, except for introducing themselves, they can listen to what other people are going through, and they can, identify, oh my God, that's happening in my house. Oh, that's a great way to work with that behavior. So anybody can join where they are, right. In the process. From being a joiner and jumping in to just listening. I'm sorry, Annie, go ahead.
No, that's okay. And I can't express how important it is for our caregivers to take care of themselves. We, with our facts and figures that just came out, this was our first year here in Rhode Island that we have, statistics and information about how caregiving is affecting our loved ones right here in the state. We have, what we're recognizing is that the caregiving experience actually brings on chronic disease. About 54% of our caregivers, are experiencing depression. So, we really stress and educate and encourage our family members to take care of themselves, and get those medical appointments. Just they really need to make a priority to care for themselves so that they can actually care for their loved ones long term. So.
Mm-hmm. And so, how do people go about getting diagnosed? So, you go to the doctor and, they ask you some questions, and your appointment is in the morning. And so, morning times are always better. And they only speak up when you're online,
Is that Millie?
Exactly.
That's our friend Millie. Millie, who's talking to us.
And she's feeling.
She's a senior, so she needs to be heard.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
she's feeling better, so I apologize.
That's okay.
She wants to be part of the broadcast.
Yes, absolutely. She's got something to say that, pets are important to folks with dementia as well.
So it's important just to recognize that, the diagnosis, it's a process. It does take time. There are multiple visits that it takes place because they're doing, they want to do a really full diagnosis is, family history, blood work. They do CAT scans. They may be even, wanting to do a lumbar puncture. They're going to do neurological assessments, psychological assessments, to continue to rule out, what it is and what it may be, what it may not be. So, it is a process. It's not just going to the doctors this one time. We have diagnostic centers here in the state of Rhode Island, at Rhode Island Hospital, Butler Hospital. And then all of our hospitals actually have diagnostic centers at there as well. So, we are very happy to, talk with individuals who are concerned about, primary practices that geriatricians and neurologists that we can recommend to individuals. So, but it is a process. It takes a while, and like we talked about in the beginning, it can be a little more difficult for our our young individuals who may be experiencing cognitive issues. So.
Yep. And I know that there's been a lot of research, and there's a lot of medications out there. Does it make Alzheimer's or dementia better? Does it stop the progression? Do you get cured from it?
So there is no cure for Alzheimer's disease. It is a chronic disease that, again, it advances and, it causes death, quite honestly. But what we are very happy to say is that, the Alzheimer's Association, we are on the front lines about prevention now. We can actually talk about treatment and prevention. Yes, there are FDA-approved medications that help manage symptoms, but we are now, right here in Rhode Island, we're doing prevention studies and looking at individuals who may have a family history of Alzheimer's in their family, may have some of the cognitive changes that are going on in their brain, which is the hallmarks are plaques and tangles. And we're looking at medication that can actually, shrink, remove, and maybe these are individuals who are not showing any signs of cognitive changes. And we're looking at, how these medications can, remove the plaques and tangles that are associated. So we're in an incredible time. So
if somebody wanted to do something that might prevent Alzheimer's or other related dementias, what are some of the things that we can do right now to keep our brain healthy? Because it is also Brain Health Week.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that what action steps can we take right now? What can the viewers do now?
Well, I love to talk about with the risk reduction. It's like high on my list. As I said earlier, I lost my mom to classic Alzheimer's disease. We say whatever is heart healthy is brain healthy. Okay, so if you're following some kind of exercise routine, and we're not talking about going to the gym 3 hours a day, we're talking about moderate exercise a few days a week. You're not going to believe this when I say this. 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep is going to help your brain health. We see a lot of commercials on TV about things that you can do and games that you can play. It really is about engaging your mind. And that is not necessarily a really difficult brain game. It's doing something different, something new, as well as social interaction. All of those things can keep your brain healthy. So, it's been tough during COVID because a lot of people are not having social interaction. But doing something different, learning how to crochet. I mean, you don't have to make a huge blanket, but just, doing something different and introducing that into your routine on a regular basis is going to help with your brain. And certainly anything that's heart healthy, keeping your cholesterol low, keeping your blood pressure under 120 systolic is huge. That's going to help as well in monitoring your blood pressure. So there's a lot of things that you can do. And I'm just going to push our alz.org. If you go on there and type in brain healthy and risk reduction, you're going to get a whole list of things that you can do to keep your brain healthy.
Awesome. So the Alzheimer's Association, is it a nonprofit or is it a for-profit? You're a big organization.
So we are a nonprofit organization, and we are the leading nonprofit organization in advancing research, care, and support. We are nationwide. Our main office is in Chicago, Illinois. But we, everything that we do in the community, there's no cost for our services, and that's really important for our families to understand. So we're very, very proud of that. We also really push for diversity and inclusion in all of our services, and we're doing a lot of work in that particular area right here in Rhode Island. We are a volunteer organization, so the work that we do, we depend on our volunteers, and so I am, here today. One of the things that I really hope is that, that we can get individuals who are involved in our minority careers to come and work, with us, along our mission, which is, to advance care and support in all communities throughout the state of Rhode Island. And we are looking for volunteers in the minority careers who want to volunteer and in our, our abilities to, offer common educational programs, volunteer support group, facilitators, and become our community champions right here in our state.
And I'm going to also add, without the donor support, like you were talking about your sponsors earlier, we can't do what we do in the communities. And so our biggest event to support all that we do, from research to advocacy to care and support to education, is the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And I am so excited to report that, yes, we will be in person in 2021.
Yay.
So it is an opportunity not only to give back and support our organization through revenue generation and fundraising, but it is the biggest awareness event, really, I think, across the globe, not only here in the United States. We have 600 walks that take place from August to about November across the country. We have 4 in Rhode Island, Block Island, Westerly, Providence, and Newport, and they're all on different days. You can attend all 4 or just one, and you stand shoulder to shoulder with people who are experiencing what you are, either as a caregiver, a loved one, or someone with the disease. And I encourage everyone to register so that we can be together and raise these critical funds to go supporting our programs. And it's pretty simple, alz.org/RI. It keeps going across the bottom there. We just add one more /walk and you'll find it. But on our homepage, alz.org/RI, you can register for the walk, and also the longest day, which is another fundraising program that we do. So get involved, give back, and we're here for you 24/7. 24/7.
I don't think I could have said that any better. Ladies, you are such a wealth of information. I hope that you would be willing to come on again to speak more about this topic, and maybe we can make it something regular where we take a little piece, one particular topic every so often, and really explore it even further, because it's just impacting so many people. And, thank you so much for everything that the Alzheimer's Association does, that the support that you give to the individuals who have Alzheimer's and other related dementias. And thank you for caring for the caregivers as well.
Thank you. It's our honor. It truly is.
It really is. Yeah. And you don't have to ask us twice. Annie and I'll go any place, anywhere to talk about Alzheimer's awareness, treatment, care, and support, advocacy, whatever you need. We're here.
Oh, well, I'm taking you up on that offer. We'll get you on the books.
Right, thanks, Steph.
Thank you very much for joining me today, ladies.
All right.
Well, everybody, I told you it was going to be information that you were going to need, and that there's going to be somebody that you know that needs the information. Alzheimer's is unfortunately so very prevalent that everybody knows somebody who's been touched by it. So I encourage you all, if you didn't share the video, please share it out there, share it in all the groups that you're in, with your friends, with your family. There's Alzheimer's chapters in every state in the country. So there's always resources available for people nationwide. Really important. Actually, I think it's even globally. So really important that you share this information and sign up for the Alzheimer's, the Walk to End Alzheimer's. That's going to be really cool. So really grateful. I will have these ladies back on again, I promise. So if there's questions that you have, feel free to send them over to me, and we can make a whole show about your questions and get that taken care of and get the information out, because that's what we do here at Rhode Island Elder Info. We get information out. So with that being said, I look forward to seeing all of you next week on Thursday at 9 o'clock for Calling All Women Warriors. It is our veterans event. Looking forward to it with much anticipation and excitement. You will have the opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, to hear from a 100-year-old World War II woman veteran. Definitely not something that you will see on the regular basis. So I'm hoping that you will all join and that you will share that information out. Couldn't do it without our supporters, Raytheon and Cross Country Mortgage and England Studios and D&B Media. But all of our work is dependent on our donors and our sponsors. So if you find value in what we're doing, feel free to go right on RI Elder Info, hit the donate button. You can even donate $1, donate 50 cents, donate a quarter. It all makes a difference. So I look forward to seeing you all again on Thursday next week at 9 o'clock. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you.
If you liked this video, please follow us on social media and subscribe on YouTube. For more information, visit rielderinfo.com or call 401-585-0509. If you have any questions, email deb@rielderinfo.com.